Yeah, so we had a small glitch in the Zoom crashed. So you got a little tension there, Catherine. Jerry's punching very strongly, like a good karate punch would. And so what you can see it when you went to go do the entry, you bounced a little bit off. This has got to be super soft. There's no resistance here at all. I'm letting this go past me as I get in. Okay. Yeah, see, there's still, look where yours is coming from. Yours is coming from out here. So there's a lot of sideways. I'm coming here. The hand isn't really coming from out here. It's coming up and down. And so how do I get the deflection? Just the core turn. Yeah, just hold it out. This is coming up like it's brushing, and my core turns. There's my line. Okay. When it comes from out here, there's already too much across the line. I'm reaching in. Yep. Just as usual. I'm almost always, when something's coming, reaching in and accepting. Okay. Now that technically was a number 1 entry.
My timing was off.
Yeah, it was just fine. It's not wrong. It's what I'm doing is practicing right now, the whole following it in. Okay. What you did was you did what we call a number 1 entry, which should give me an outside. Okay. But technically, this is a number 2 entry. So we've done it from like jab, like a boxing. There's a number 2 entry. Right? We're just doing it now from combinations. Boom. Yeah, when you do it, Jerry, do step in like we were talking about, only because what you want to do is get inside this. So right out here, we're both at striking distance. What I'd like to do is get in where you don't have another strike. Okay. I mean, there's close quarter striking that you can do like that, but I'm getting in here. It's not wrong to be out here, but I haven't changed the distance. You're more likely to set up an Aikido technique off your striking if you can get in. If I can get in here and I hit you, I've bounced you off. Look what's left. There's the Kotegaeshi. If I really smack you, this was left. So this is how you start setting up from real striking, more intelligent striking than the scary Aikido arm of death, which everybody does. This is how you start to set stuff up. Okay, go ahead. There you go. The whole goal in Aikido in your entries is that when you do your entry, we do everything off single attacks. And Sensei used to have us practice stuff like this, knowing that no one in martial arts does single attacks. They all do combinations, jab, cross, hook, bam, 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 bam. You get a boxer, they sit on the bags and do this all day long. They get very fast at it. So we have to be able to handle that. So Sensei would do exercises like this, and we'd just start here. And then say, at some point you could just move in. Okay. The atemi here, when I do this one, it's not the same punch you're doing. I'm not doing a return karate punch. I actually am doing more of a Wing Chun punch. And the reason for that is when I hit you, I want to have you rise. This is a breaking punch. This is a move you up and out punch. Okay. And this also has other advantages, but that same relaxed. So if you look, when I ride this, I didn't change anything. This was here and then no special anything. If you've done karate, there's no reason you can't do a rotational punch. But basically in law enforcement and self-defense and that's gone away. Nobody teaches a rotational punch except karate people, because it's technically difficult to do properly. Okay, there's a whole lot of stuff. People do it wrong. They let their elbows come out when they rotate the fist, and actually the elbow should be going the opposite direction. All of that stuff. So, plus you're hitting with the knuckles, and what people want is soft. Look at the Sistema guys; they look like nothing. You know, they don't even worry about the position of the hand. Whatever hits, hits. But I would like to change as little as possible. So if you look, now if I'm doing this on your chest, but if I came in and hit here, it's going to rock you. It's going to snap that head back. It doesn't have to be hard. I don't want to hit you so hard that I'd be breaking my knuckles hitting you there. So that's the other thing is what's replaced punching in a lot of self-defense. If you looked at the early UFC fights, there were a couple guys who won their first matches but couldn't go on because they broke their hands hitting the guy. So then you start seeing people wear light gloves, fingerless gloves, so they could still grapple, but they could hit without breaking their knuckles. But if I can do a softer punch, okay, just get in here and follow this in, okay, I could be doing an open palm, and that's there'd be a shot here, there'd be a shot here, and you can hit full power on somebody's head with an open palm and rock them, and you won't hurt your knuckles. So when I did the defensive tactics, they had a little saying that was soft to hard, hard to soft. If you're hitting a soft target, you hit it with your fist. If you're hitting a hard target, like the bone structure up here, you hit it with open palm. And technically, you can actually do either. You know, there's blows that come in here. Sensei used to show you one of the things, because I'm big, said, how do you strike somebody who's really big like that? It comes down on top. And it really messes you up. We don't have to get that technical about the striking right now, but what I'd like is the least change in movement that you have to think about is possible. So if you look at the position I'm in when I'm here, I didn't change that at all. I just stepped in and let it hit. Okay, and you come out of your base, you know, if you watch a Wing Chun guy, they either break things or knock you across the room with that. We actually mostly want to move them to set up other techniques. If I want to hurt you, I have to do it with more power and sharpness, okay, like splitting the sternum or something. But mostly what we want is, if I'm here, I would like to, oh, that knocked you back, there's my Kotegaeshi. That's really what I'm using our atemi for, is to set up something else so that maybe I don't have to demolish you. If I really want to demolish you, this is going to hit you in the throat. That would be something sharp up there. So anyway, we don't have to do that. But just the littlest movement possible. It's right there. I didn't move the elbows. I didn't rotate. I didn't do anything. Okay, so go ahead. Maximum efficiency. Now, try not to get, remember when we were doing sword, we're talking about sticky blade as opposed to being able to make space. When the exercise starts to become this, we don't want that. That's different. I might choose to do it. There's not saying it's wrong. But right now, what I'm doing is parry, 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 parry. There's space. Okay, so if he snaps one out and back very fast, sticking to that may or may not be something you want to do. So I need to be independent. If I choose to be, like I choose to stick to that right now, and I'm sticking to this one, so he has trouble with anything. If I got this, I'd probably throw the kick. Because in tying up both his hands, I've also tied up my hands. So I might not do that. So right now, let them get airspace. And just see how little a movement I have to be to protect. Okay, it's not wrong to get into sticky, but it's different. Just like the sword. Sometimes we want to stick to the blade and sometimes we don't. See, so it's the same thing I was saying to Jerry. You can do that, especially because you have reach on her. But try and get the step in. That'll hit him, but you're not changing the spacing. Now, you missed the block. Yeah. So there's your Aiuchi. And that's the whole, when I get this, here, 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 I'm covering that line. There you go. Good, that's even better. One of the things you want to look for, and if you're teaching it to people, you want to get them aware of this, is that it shouldn't be 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. When it happens, it's 1. So she's getting hit. The reason this is difficult for them to deal with is that she's going to be hit at the instant she thought she was going to hit me. Okay, so a lot of times people are always doing one thing at a time. And that gives them a little bit of time. You do this with Jerry, and he'll block it because he's got that striking background. So I really want to go 1, 2, 1, 2, boom, same time, and that is Kobo Tai, simultaneous offense defense. There you go. Thinking too much. That was okay. I mean, because look what you got. You got the trap. It's a different thing than I'm doing, but it's okay. There's times when you choose to do that. It's like I'm following this in and I'll do that. Right now, I'm not. Just passing it and hitting. Okay. There you go. Okay, so now, Jerry, not too hard or fast to start with. Okay, inside, 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 inside. So this would be like as if you were going to When we did this at the police academy, they say, fix your do. And I'm spiraling a little, okay? But there's no pressure. Because if there's pressure, if he feels pressure, he'll fake one. And you'll go out there. Okay? If I'm feeling that he's pushing against this, push it out. Yeah, no, it's hard to do it wrong. I was trying to talk about doing it wrong and I didn't do it wrong. Okay? But he's pushing out against that. They get the opening that way. They get ahead of you and they put you out of phase. This exercise is about awase. It's being in phase. So I'm right in here, controlling the center. And as this comes up, my core turns. And then if you look, my arms are barely moving, which is why at this distance, I can still handle his speed because I'm not moving very much. You watch guys put their hands down. You get somebody fast in here, the first one might block. Second one's going to be late. That was already late. Having to move too much. Okay? And you know, if you look at Muhammad Ali and his famous fight with George Foreman, what'd they call it? What he did? Rope-a-dope. He got in here, and the only thing he gave him was his body. Now, he took a lot of beating on his body in that fight. But he just sat there round after round and let George wear himself out. And he taunted him to get him to overcommit on his energy. He's going, hey, George, you're the champ, and I'm beating you up. That was talking to him the whole time, trash talking. And he got more and more mad, and he just kept pounding in there. And when he wore himself out, then Ali came out and won the fight. Rope-a-dope this is the problem with Aikido people is they either have their hands someplace else or even they do this kind of thing, which once again, nobody does in fighting. This is more Yoshinkan, okay? And there's reason they do it, but it's, if you don't have your hands up in a fight, if you watch boxers when they start, after a few rounds, the arms get heavy. And that's when you get somebody knocked out because they drop their guard. So I want to be mostly here. If I'm really doing this, I want to be moving as little as possible. So right on this, we're just doing a very simple 1, 2, 1, 2, minimal movement. My elbows are not moving at all. They're just sitting there. This is all core. So do that a little bit, then we'll do a follow-in. Hello, Alice, come play with us. We need another person. Half our personnel are in Japan. No, Kanto-san's gone, and I think Ichiro hasn't come back yet. Yeah, the whole Japanese contingent is not here. There you go. So stop for a sec. Get a little spiral in there, because eventually it's going to help you. When I decide to follow it in, when that side comes in so the camera can see it better. If this comes in straight, I haven't really changed too much. But when I spiral, I'm really getting on the inside here without pushing you. And that's the whole thing. So this helps, but it's really easy for you when I come back to stick with it. But if I get this spiral, I'm on the inside when I come back in. That'll be the next thing we do. So right now, think about, and we were doing this spiral when we were on the outside. So do a little spiraling on the inside. It has a function. Yeah, there you go. That's good. Okay, so the only thing I would change is a lot of the times when you do this, your fingers are back pointing this way. Okay, so you're kind of flicking, whereas I'm keeping this facing him. You see where my fingers are? They're facing where I'm going to strike. It's a slightly different. Yeah, you're still doing it. Look. Try and let the spiral do what you want it to do. There you go. There you go. This kind of stuff should be done in any Aikido dojo because people are scared of being hit. And eventually you can get to the point where you do this, you're not being afraid of being hit anymore. It's not pleasant to be hit, but it's you can't do your stuff if you're scared of it. That's a limiting factor. There we go. There you go. Okay. So now you throw the punches. So I start with the outside, and you can switch to inside, and outside, and inside, and outside, 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 inside, inside, outside. So when I go to switch, when she pulls back, I can switch if I want, just by crossing the line just slightly. So it's just there's your spiral. So usually when people do this, they move their arms too much. Okay, you'll get outside, outside, and then they start doing all this stuff. It's really small. Good. Okay. So let's go back to the inside only because we're going to practice following it in. So here, 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 here. So this is where I was saying the spiral makes a difference because when I open them up here, I want to get inside this curve because it makes this block harder. If I just go here and I do this, he can stick to it too. It's like sticky blade with the number 6. But if I go like this, he's gonna have to zone out. I might not hit him if he knows how to protect, but that's okay because if you look at what's happening, he's zoned out, but I have the trap. So if I get him here, or if he zones out enough that this misses, what's that? Sumyatoshi, okay? Or keep going. Lots of stuff that this can turn into. And that's why the spiral on the inside hand is important because at any point in time, that gives me a trap. I'm not grabbing, but I'm trapping. If he pulls back now, he's getting, see, it's not a tight grip, it's a hook. So he pulls hard, he's going to pull the strike into him. Okay. But usually what's happened is that this is hit. So I disconnect his center from this. Boom. So then all sorts of stuff can happen out here. So don't worry about that right now, but you do get following it in. Step in, get this. If you get this, you rock them. It can be another strike here. If I get this and rock him back, and then I do this, it's going to bring his head forward when I hit him. Now, if I hit you in the balls, your head's coming down. So if his head comes down, then I can dump him. Right? So inside, and follow it in on both sides and see what happens. Don't go straight for the shoulder. Try and hit the center. The shoulder will happen accidentally. This is where I'm going. I'm going to follow on the. Okay, one thing about this. No, it's one thing about this is that Jerry, because he's trained, does a very nice linear shot. Trained guys can do linear. But if you look at somebody who's not trained, there's already a curve. Even if you look at the UFC fighters, very few of them have what you'd consider to be really clean boxing handwork. So when they come in, there's already a curve in here. Boom, boom, boom. They're opened up. But with a real linear shot, I've got to open that up and get on the inside of that so that as it withdraws, I'm following that in. It's easier if he's kind of flaring his elbows and because he's already opened that up. It's much easier to hit somebody like that, okay? Because you just get on the inside and they give you the inside. But the linear shots, he's not trying to give me the inside. It's like, well, yeah, he's still controlling the center. And, oh, yeah, he's still. So I have to, yeah. Now as this snaps back, if I follow it, I can get in close enough that this is hard for him to block. See if you can step in a little deeper, Jerry. Okay. Where's all your power going to come from? If I go reach too far, I can hit him, but I'm not hitting him with my whole body. Whereas if I can step in, that's my whole body hitting him. If I do that with some speed on his chin, it'll snap him and set up a lot of stuff. Okay. Guys, listen, there's a difference between what separates out a push from a strike that moves them from a strike that breaks something. Because Bruce Lee back in the day would do the 1-inch punch. And at demos, he would go, boom, and he would knock that guy across the room. But then I was reading an article about Dan Inosanto, and he says, that's not the real punch. Because the problem with that is it knocks you back and I can't hit you again. So he said, the real thing is, and it doesn't knock them back. It's sharp. It can break things. It can, snap a sternum or snap your head, but I don't want to knock you across the room. So depending on what Jerry was doing was, boom, there's a hit. But now you didn't move in as deep as I did. Okay, so you had the hit, and it would probably rock him. But what I'm doing is I'm in. And then when I hit him, it's not quite the same. This probably won't break anything when it hits. What it will do is move his whole body. And we practice this even during the Randori intense. We were practicing how to use our body to push, as opposed to the arms to push, which doesn't do much. Okay, so it's this. This is now it's a strike. Here, 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 here. Then I have all sorts of stuff I can do. Okay, so it's just different. It's nothing of it's wrong. It's like Dan. If you saw Dan did sticky blade. He would get in here, and then every time the guy threw something, but he never left. So you probably wouldn't want to lose this either. So you'd be sticking, and Dan's just on top, and he's hitting you. And then you try and do something else, and it's like, boom, he's hit that. And a lot of times, if you saw when he did it, he rotated out from this distance. Just depends on what you're trying to set up. Remember him, he used to talk about how guys would go, ah, get off me. They couldn't unstick from him. Yeah. So different usage. Since we're largely trying to set up our Aikido takedowns, balance breaks, etc., and not necessarily trying to finish it just with a strike, we use a certain kind of striking. Boom! That moved his head. If I got this, I could spin him and drop him and go for a lock. I have all sorts of stuff I can do. And it probably wouldn't hurt him that much unless I chose to. See what I mean? So it's just a different kind of power. We're using a duller power than a breaking power. That'll move it. And if I have something that I've trapped when I did it, he's over there and I have this. I'm setting it up. This is how you can use the atemi to set up your techniques. There you go. Just don't extend quite as much, okay? Because when you extend out to here, you've lost some of your body power. I'm getting here. Then the elbow opens with my legs. It's a little different than the distance, you know. And of course, you know, in striking you have jab. Guys, listen, when the striking guys talk about combative distance, you have punching distance, you have trapping distance, okay? You have grappling. And grappling, used like in boxing, if I don't like what's happening, I go into a clinch. There are close quarter striking techniques. We used to practice them. If you're hugging into me because you don't want to be hit, how do I get, yeah, hug me. So he doesn't want me to be able to hit him. How do I get space? Pulse the shoulder, pulse the elbow. Now he's back where I can hit him. So there's ways to get him off you, that even from close quarters. So if you look at the punch I'm doing, this isn't a punching range punch. It's a trapping range punch. My elbow is still pretty close to my side. Okay, just different. It's used for something different. What do you want your distance to be? Do I want to tie this guy up? Okay, or do I want to stay out like Dan was doing? Hit him out here where he can't hit you. Different. This is really, really Wing Chun-y. I'm doing that for striking. You don't, and this is the thing, you know, one of the reasons that Wing Chun's like this is because it's a combat art. It's not a sport. And a Wing Chun guy, if he gets a standard karate punch coming at him, one of the things he'll try and do is take the elbow out. Wham! That's why they don't do a straight punch. If you hit the elbow from the outside here, it'll give way. It's safer for you. Okay, that's one of the reasons. Much harder for him to bust my elbow up. So a distance punch is great because I can hit him out here, but if he, depending on what he knows how to do, it also exposes some things. The other thing about being in close enough where you hit him with the palm is if I hit here, I'm also right where that can happen. So it can be palm strike, elbow strike, edge strike, all that happening just off of the opening and closing of the elbow. When it's fast, it's like the triplets that the Systema guys do. Pop, pop, pop. They call them triplets. Okay, so it could be, I'm going in here on the inside, just do that. Then I go bam, bam, bam. Faster than that. Really hard to deal with. So try one where you hit him with the palm strike and then shift into your elbow. See if you're at the right distance for it. Yeah. See, that time you got closer with your body because you knew you were going to hit him with the elbow. Don't drop your hand quite so far down. Just because if Jerry gets faster, if you look, he's got his hands up and your hands are down here. His ability to cross that distance with a fast is much, you want to have the shortest distance. That's why if you look, what this does for me too is if he tries an uppercut, my elbows were always down. So if I see that coming, all I need is a core turn. We're not ready for uppercuts yet, but I'm not exposing as much as too much movement. There you go. Okay, so let's play with this a little bit, Dave. Hey, go back to outside. Now I'm going to follow this in, but then I'm going to, when this hits, then I'm going to spin this to the outside and hit again. Now you've got Kainage. So, when we practice Kainage, we try and do this off of the entry. And pulling a technique like that off against somebody who really knows how to fight on the first blow is difficult. Okay, but combinations. So I'm going along here, then I go boom, then I hit again, and now I can throw. Okay, so simple, slowly. Outside, 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 outside. Follow it in. Drop it behind, hit again. This will be a forearm shot right to his head or neck. You could add a knee shot. Don't, because it's painful to your partner, but that would be the follow-up. once you took that leg out, the throw is a piece of cake. Okay, so give this a try. You're flowing right into your technique. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, then in, boom. Okay. The problem with what we're doing on this is we're setting up some basic exercises that'll produce techniques. Eventually, what you want to do is you take an exercise like this and you go a little faster so you can't think about it. And you make your entry and you hit them, and then you see what's there. Okay, because you really, when this is full speed, if he's fully functional, things are happening too fast. So you have to get, oh, that's a break in time. That punch, if it was coming, is still not hitting me because I hit him here. And I can go, oh, there's a kotegaeshi. I now have the moment when I can see what that produced. So right now, this is unrealistically artificial because we're standing going, okay, I'm going to get the kaitenage. Just patterning. Okay, once you've done enough of this, then when you go fast, you will recognize what's there when it presents itself. And that's the problem. You watch a lot of time when people haven't trained enough, you can watch them doing these things and the opportunity passes them by. It was there, but if they're good, it's only going to be there for a split second and then it's going to disappear. So you watch repeatedly, people had this opening, didn't recognize it, and then it was gone and they missed it. It's like, well, you could have done that and you could have done that. This is how you start to develop the skill. You go slow, just like we did in karate. This one, you know, and might have been a full power punch, but it was, you know, one step sparring, they used to call it. You have to start slow enough that you can recognize what's going on. And you're imprinting the spacing, the timing. And then it can become natural and more automatic. Go ahead. Like I said, you know, that young man who did Wado-do that was at my seminar in Switzerland, I technically didn't know what he was going to do because he really wasn't an Aikido guy. His responses were totally different than what I would normally expect from an Aikido person. And yet I was fine handling it based on the fact that we did this kind of training with Saotome Sensei. Okay. I didn't have any trouble. I don't know if I could have gone full speed with them because I don't do enough of this kind of training on a regular basis. But certainly at the kind of medium speed, you know, his testing me out, I had no problem. Okay? So anyway, this is how you're going to let the techniques present themselves. You don't take one of these techniques. The way we train in basics is everybody knows what the technique is, you know, and your uke is maybe giving you a very full speed, good committed attack, but they are in fact not coming in with the intention of messing you up either. Okay, and then we learn to do the techniques to get to the point where you can apply them with someone who is attacking in a more intelligent fashion requires a different kind of training, and that's this kind of training. Stand sideways to the camera, Alex. You can't see anything if you have you're the other way. So you missed a little of it. I'm not really fading out. I'm on the center line. And when I decide to follow it in, I'm straight in right now. Now, see, one of the things that happened there was his hand got really low. If you look here, slowly, I don't have his hand down here, okay, until after this hit. So I'm right here. Then right here, then there. And the kick is in there if I need it. Yes, so watch. I followed this in and I hit. Then I get this out of the way and scoop this and move in deeper and hit with the forearm shot. And right now I'm being nice. This is a forearm shot. I didn't nail it with the elbow point. Just a forearm shot. And that should give me this. Now, don't try and grab it too soon. You're sticking. I'm just riding it here. Now, if I knock it down too soon, he's already going to ride up. He's going to go around it and come back up. So the way the joint works, you got to get this behind his. Now try and take it. Don't go once it's back there. But here, it's really easy for him. So if I drop it, push it down, he comes right around that and comes back up and smacks me. So I have to ride it in. Now I still have, if you look over here, I still haven't grabbed it. I'm sticking to it. Because his elbow no longer really bends very well. So out here, he can pull this away. He can take his elbow up. Everything works great. You get this, try and bend your elbow. This has to pull it back to do that. You can't just. So I ride it in here. Then this hits. And then this is coming around. And now by this time, that can become that. But it's already way behind him before I ever even try and get that grab. Yeah.
I'm finding myself not in a position to do this.
Okay, so that's probably because you're moving your arms too much. Now, keeping this line, but I'm going to take this down. And this is it's going to stay on the line, but it's going to get out of the way. There's the forearm shot. While that's happening, this is taking this behind him. Let's see. Okay, so right here, you went offline to the shoulder. That changes things. I'm going dead center to the head or something. I'm rocking him here. Okay, so you went, well, nothing much happened to him. This is how if you look at what I'm doing here, I'm shaping him into the technique with the strikes. So slowly. That rocks him. Then this pulls back, this rocks him again. Then this can be behind him. And when you really do it, it's kind of like you're walking through them. I mean, it's like there's step, you know, each one of those movements is a hit. There you go. Now, don't grab it. And don't go around him. You see, you're being so nice. You were here. Then you want to be here. Don't go around him and go. None of that's doing anything until it actually hits him. I mean, you could do that, but look at the big arc. It gives him a big space to block it. If I did this, he'd probably block it. I want this. And frankly, I mean, if I'm really doing this, I don't care if I get the kite nugget. If he's falling down before we get to the kite nugget, this is all fine by me. Okay, this is why the Aikido people are too nice about this. Like, Itemi's out here, they don't react to it. Then they come in here and they go, I don't really want to hit this guy. So they go here. He's there. This goes right through him. And he should move his head. That's the way, Saotome Sensei taught us. If you don't have the block, move the head. Because you're going to get hit. I'm putting my arm where you want to be. And your choice about whether you move it or not. Because it'll move if I hit it. But you could move it at the speed we're going at. You could move it ahead of that. Okay, so let me give you a little exercise here. Jerry, stand here. You sort of need to know how to do this to do what we're doing. This is straight out of Wing Chun, okay? So if you look at Wing Chun, this is their basic stance. They're into controlling the center line. They don't hook. I want to hit him in the side of the head. I change angle and do a linear shot. They're very linear. As opposed to like a boxing hook or something like that. They don't do it. So the basic movement, you take a diameter, a circle, the basic diameter of your forearm. And so when you stand here, this fist is right where your elbow is. Now, this drops and this hits. And so then, now this is where the elbow is. So you have this movement. What this does is if the guy's got his dukes up, it's like a steamroller that goes over those. He throws a punch. See, it's like, this is just right in here. Anything he puts up, this encounters it, drops it down, and now you're in. And then this is, Bruce Lee used to call this the straight blast. And what he said was, that was his go-to technique for a real fight. Right up the center, right through him. Very few people can handle that, okay? So that action here, try this. Face me and just try this circular. And you want it to be loose so you can practice it like on a punching bag or on the Makawara. It's really that loose. So if you look, when I'm doing this, when I hit him here, here's the action. Here, here. It was doing this as I went in. You just didn't see a lot of them. It wasn't like I'm out here going. I went wham. Now this is going to draw back so that this can enter. I haven't taken it out here yet, so I don't want to open this up. I want to get this out of the way, and then this comes right in here. So I'm really doing this straight through his center. A little more. Oh, actually, let's shift to another one. So just go back to, we're just going to start with the outside. And then I'm going to actually shift to the inside and hit. Okay. And I'm monitoring this. Now, he pulled that way back. Maybe it would be there, maybe it wouldn't be. I don't control that. I don't control what he does. So when this hits, it's going to move his head. Now I have this. I'm going to hook his head, and I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to step in here and lock it. This would be the arm break if I was really fighting. Bam. But we're not going to worry about that. Okay? So, this time it's not so far back. So guess what I've got? Hit Kotegaeshi. I didn't really have Kotegaeshi when it was against his hip. So you can play with it. I don't care what exactly it turns into. Depends on what they do. Does that make sense? Okay. So outside, 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 inside. Smack. Oh, there it is. Kotegaeshi. Play with it. So once again, don't be too nice. We're not going at a speed that's going to, anybody's going to get hurt. So when you come here, put it in and move his head. I didn't have to. If you accelerate it before it hits him, it's going to pop it. But if you just come in here and give it a little structure, just move his head out here. Then you can see what that strike would have done. Once again, don't be so nice that, because this didn't do anything. This did something. You've got to see what it's going to do. Yeah, there you go. And it, depending on what you want to do, if I want to throw him, I will go that far. But if I just want to open him up for something, so here, whoa, I only need this much to get this. Now he's going to the floor. Okay. You can dump him with the head spiral. Don't stick to me. You're trying to get me. You're sticking to my hand. See, so I'm just in here and you don't know what I'm doing and I'm getting in here. And then when I go here, whoa, if I get this far, I can just spiral it. Perfectly good. Okay. But for the Kotegaeshi or the trap of the arm, I only need to move your head offline. And then if it's here, with Dave, it was way back here on that one. Probably would do the head now. Okay. Most of the time it was left out in front of them. He didn't pull it back that far, which means when this hits, this is available. Do you see when you pushed it through? You actually had a Shihonage or a Hijinage. Okay, so I don't care. Guys, I don't care how this finishes. What I want you to do is patterning so you can see what is there. So I went in here. Well, clearly what's here is something like that. But when we went, if I get on the inside here, throw the next one, boom, and I've hit here, you have Shihonage, Hijinage, Kokunage. I don't care if it ends up like that. I didn't quite go that far. I just went here. Oh, well, now that time I was on the inside. I didn't intend to be on the inside. So if I have this here, Hijina, Sumitoshi, Okay. Pass through. Anything. Okay. Or whack, hook, draw, and you're actually doing a different, I'm not on this side of the head, but I can still do the kite nage.
Non-licensed chiropractor adjustment.
Head spirals either way. So not wrong. If you see it, finish it. Because that's the whole point of the thing is, are you training your eyes to see what's there? Okay, not trying to artificially say, oh, this should be kotegaeshi. I'm setting it up so that it probably is going to be. Yeah, see, he pulled that, he went to the outside. If that had come here, I would have been here. And when I hit that, there's the kotegaeshi. But I didn't control that because he was already spiraling around that. So he tried to go around. So I was on the inside, which means I could be here. Oh, now I added another one. There were two of them. So I went one through the other one, two. This is what I was saying about walking through him. Okay. If I was really doing this, I'd be stepping right between your feet, hitting here, stepping between the feet, maybe hooking that foot while this hits. Just keep going and hit them until they're not up anymore.
Then you don't need the Aikido.
If they get back up, you hit them again. But since we're not really grapplers, we do a few pins, but most of the pinning stuff that we do is remedial. If you look at guys who know MMA or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or a good judo man who does groundwork, we don't do groundwork enough. So if I was in a self-defense situation, I'd go through you and knock you down, and if you get back up again, I'll hit you again. But I'm not going to jump on you and wrestle with you. Plus, you know, in a real situation, usually there's more of. So Alex, at that point, you're pushing them away. You don't want to meet this. At no point is there a outward pressure. It's just going to free them up. So I can't get in if I have outward pressure. I want to be. I want this going past me as I go in. It's a brush by. And it's a brush by from the inside. It's a brush by from the outside. Anytime you start see outward pressure, it's you getting scared of the hit. That's exactly it. You're going, oh shit, and I want to push it away from me. You got to get comfortable with this. So I can go into it. I'm not even looking at them. My peripheral vision is picking up the motion. I'm looking at him. Nice. Oh, so the good one from there, if you have them extended like that, when you get it, so you're on the inside and you got this, you can screw that elbow into his base. You can take this spiral, because he's usually going to try and pull this back away from you anyway. He doesn't want to sit here with this rigid arm. So as that loosens up, you can screw it right in there and smack him some more. Yep, good. There's your kite nugget. Okay, good. Okay. Let's try one from the inside again. In. Now, I'm sticking here. Okay, so if you look, I rotate it over. Now I'm on top on both. Okay, so guess what? Aiki sage. Dump it. This one's more about balance breaking than it is smacking him. You notice I didn't really smack him. Thank you, sir. Here. Here. So now both hands, screwing both his elbows into his hips. Then Aiki sage with the body. Okay, Jerry, so you can feel it. So inside, 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 here, here. Okay, boom. And then, yeah, I'm being nice. This is what we talked about with Aiki sage, is that a lot of times when people are not taking ukemi for you, when they feel this, they shoot their feet out. And the hips are out there. That's okay with me because once he does that, okay, I tried for the balance break and he didn't go. He's totally open here. But if he just takes the ukemi, I don't have to do any of that. But we're getting this. Screw it in. Screw it in. He can move his forearms. He just can't get free. If he pulls him back like that, it gets worse. Okay, so I'm trapping both of these. And in and up and down. In and down. Okay, so give it a try. So don't lean, Jerry. You got to lead with your heart to get the Aikiage. Use your legs. Step between them and do your rowing. There it is. There it is. Now, he made a balancing step because it was so slow. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. If you decide to do this, you can always put a core turn into it if you really want to dump him, okay? So once I get here, and then I screw this in, if I go up and I do a core turn, he's not stepping out of that, okay? I was just trying to get this feeling of in. But yeah, I would probably rotate to really negate his, it's like Dan's 3 vectors. If I can add more, I have the in, I have the up, I have the down, I have a round, okay? Even here, there's still an up and there's a down, all simultaneous. All of those are going to screw them up. So, yeah. Now, you should be sticking to his elbows. Okay? If you do this, you got the forearms. That leaves him able to do all sorts of spirals. I got the elbows because I went in. Now, headbutt, knee shot, but spiral, aikiage, aikisage. And as we were just saying over here, that's the harder one. If I do that and core rotation, you're going down off your back corner. That's even more efficient. If he loosens up, so he's so loose that this stuff that you're doing isn't doing much, get the tension. Okay. When I do this, if he doesn't want to go down, he's going to react to it. So what's happening is he's being really relaxed and you're doing a lot of spiraling here and it's not really connecting. Drop in here. Now you don't want to go, so you're going to push against that. Push with your legs. So you're trying not to go. Now I have access to your center. If we were really doing this, and this wasn't with our friends, there's the headbutt, there's a knee shot, a shoulder shot. Anything is, if I go in here and I do this and then he shoots his legs out, there's a shoulder shot right there, there's knee shots, you're going to walk right through them. So right now, the reason it wasn't working, you were doing the aikiage, but he was so relaxed it wasn't hitting. Find his tension. There. Now it'll go. Otherwise, it's like trying to do techniques with people who give you crappy attacks. You're not going to move me anywhere because I'm not giving you anything. You have to come in and hit me. I have to do something. Yes, and see if you come at me with that strike, then I better do something. That's the whole point of it. There you go. Now, knees and elbows, he gets light, and then you go in. You see how changing the contact point changes your thinking about what the technique is? Everybody here, because of the way we've trained, grab, can do aikiage, aikisage. Everybody. But as soon as it's this, your brain's not connecting it. And it's like the whole point of the exercise is to connect it. It's not different. I don't care. But that's why this kind of training is important. You're getting past the normal forms that we train in. Everybody burns in the normal forms. But then they don't recognize it when it's not the same form. You know, it's like we don't practice judo attacks. You know, we don't do this. If you want to be able to handle a judo guy, you better be able to deal with that attack because that's the way they play. It's like, so you learn your basics through our Kihon Waza. You master the form, but at some point you have to play with, can I apply those principles freely when the form isn't the same? And the first way to do that is to you're sticking with your Aikido, but you're playing with it so that, like, can I do the aikiage when I have this contact point, or you touch me, and can I do it on you when you're touching me? It's still the same. We're sticking with the somewhat the form, but you're getting to the point where you start to recognize where it is in a lot of different situations. You could be shooting on me, going for a double leg takedown, put your head over here and go for my legs, and it's like within that. There's an aikiage, aikisage. If he doesn't get me blasted to my heels where I'm falling, I still have stuff that I know how to do that would apply. So you just have to recognize that it's there. Okay, good. Now I got another one that's fun to play with. This one is more of a preclusion. We're sitting here, we're having no the wind up like that. We're like at the bar and the guy's bad mouthing me, and then the hands come up. Okay, when those hands come up, it's on. So step in right here. Okay. Now, this is what I was talking about before with the elbows. This is not the hands pushing down. This is in and the elbows are dropping. And you do both at the same time. So when he puts his dukes up, you right in here. And then from here, you fire right up in here and dump them. Now, you'll see in the movies, snap. Okay, there's the neck break. One, it's actually not that easy to do, and very few people know how to do it. But two, you don't want to. Okay. Jam in here. Come in here. Okay. This could be more impactful than I'm making it.
Thank you.
Okay. And then instead of don't put the energy on the head, use your core. This is not on your neck at all.
Nope.
I'm turning and taking the energy out the top of your head and dropping on it. Okay, so this is a fun one to know how to do because as dukes come up, you already took care of it. You're not waiting for him to throw the punches. Then you come off that up into here. He's getting shifted back to his heels. Then you spiral, dump him down. On the street, this might be a good time to run away. Okay, or if you were really worried, it's a good time to jump on him and knock him cold. And I mean, didn't go down with him, but hit him in the head or something so he doesn't chase you. Okay, dukes come up right in there, right in. That's too late. You see that happen? In, spiral. Okay, give this a try. The nasty version is when you go to the head, there's the thumb of the eyes. That's the women's self-defense version. Okay, if you're dealing with somebody who's a serious attacker, you get in here, you come up here, you thumb their eyes. If you're going at their eyes, what are they going to do? They're going to pull their head back. When their head goes back, you nail them in the groin. Then you dump them. That's the nasty version. We're not doing the nasty version. We're doing the Aikido version. Yeah, exactly. No, it's, this is all when the model mugging guys, they had those big suits. Nick used to be a model mugging instructor back in the day. So had these huge suits, professional grade football helmet, and then padded with foam of about 4 inches on top of that, sat on shoulder pads. And you could do full power strikes to the instructor. Okay. And they had mesh on the eyes, so they could really practice tearing into those eyes. Okay. Then it's a matter of whether you'd be willing to do it or not. I used to try and show that in my self-defense class, and I'd get women in there going, "Oh, I couldn't do that." I'm going, "This guy's about to assault you. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to rape you." "Oh, yeah, but I couldn't do that. That's horrible." So then I go, "All right, let's envision this differently. He's about to snatch your child." And the moment they kicked into it's for the child, they would tear into this guy, just go through him like butter. So I used to say, what does that say about what we've taught women? You wouldn't do it for yourself, but you would for your child. Are you not valuable enough to do this? It's a conditioning thing. Women have not been trained to protect themselves this way, and have been in some ways trained not to. But as soon as it's their child, they get into the right mindset. Then you have to come back and go, well, I'm worth it too. Okay. So anyway, that's what's in this right now. His dukes come up, dropping in here, coming out of that from your legs. There's the strike. Spiraling. Okay. This is a really nice thing to know how to do. Peyton Quinn used to do the full contact suit training down in Colorado at a ranch that he had. And I talked to him once on the phone. I never met him personally, but he was sort of the king of applied self-defense training. And he had a black belt in karate, and he actually had a black belt from Saotome Sensei in Aikido. And he was one of these guys who'd done a lot of martial arts and just took what he wanted and put them into a eclectic system. And he said, so I told him I was an Aikido teacher, and he laughed and he said, yeah. He said, I really like it when he used to be a bouncer in Atlantic City bars. So he survived knife attacks, all sorts of hardcore stuff. And he said, yeah, I really like it when people tell me that Aikido doesn't work. He said, you'd be amazed at how well Irimi Nage works when you bounce their head off the bar. So you and picture a different environment in which I'm doing this. There's a bar there? Yes. We call that using objects in your environment for impact. Anything. The wall, the parked car. Aikido people just don't have enough imagination to realize what they're choosing not to do when they're doing their nice training. So, Alex, that's why I said don't use your hands. See, if I use my hands, now what happens if you relax and exactly? I'm using my elbows. Now try and get away from them.
Yeah.
You see what? And so then this is like, wha-boom, boom. My hands are already there. This is not go down here, come back up. It's in here and boom, right here. And you see how he's trying to fend. So I'd actually keep these elbows really heavy so he's jammed and come out of my legs. And I'm actually really relaxed. I'm really hitting him with my body. Yep. Now, don't forget the wrist bow for the head. Okay, Jerry's really strong. He's got good structure from doing all this training. Okay, so if I haven't tenderized him a whole lot with the knee strikes and the head butts and all the other stuff, but if I want to move him when he's got some structure, I can't just turn. There's the wrist bow. There's the Ikkyo curve. Okay. Yeah, you got that too. That's good.
Yeah, we were talking about how I brought down.
Absolutely. There's another one you can do when you come up and you go around the head. You can go down here, come up, and then bam, right into heel. Boom. You step back, you're going to bring his head right down into, and that was actually more or less the model mugging program. The whole thing about model mugging, keep it simple. No movements that required fine motor control, because when you have an adrenaline dump, you lose that. Okay, so it was all big and so it was like, go straight to the center, okay, knee him in the balls. That brought his head down, sit here and knee him until he's unconscious and goes down. Screaming like a banshee while you do it. Total sensory overload for the attacker. You know, very few people They have to train military guys a lot to handle that kind of aggressive energy. Most guys, if a woman really just tears into 100%, nothing held back, most guys can't handle it at all, even if they're bigger and stronger. You get somebody coming right up your front, screaming like a banshee and clawing your eyes. You pull your head away and then the knees there. Unless they're really, really well trained, they're not going to handle it. And that's the model mugging was mostly about teaching some remedial techniques, but training the attitude. You go into the zone once it's time, 100%, nothing held back. And it's by far the most effective women's self-defense training out there because you get to really do it. And years ago at the Aikido, one of the summer camps, they had, because the people who started it down in California actually were connected to the Aikido community. And so they had a demo at Rocky Mountain Summer Camp way back in probably the 70s or 80s, probably 80s. And they called a woman up to be the model mugging student. And then they had some instructors in the army. Well, she was actually an assault victim. And she tore into the instructor, and it took 3 people to pull her off him. When she kicked into the zone, it was like she tore through him. And you could see, it's like, who's going to handle that? Very few people. Okay? But you got to be willing to just go in there because she was carrying a fair amount of rage towards men to begin with after her previous experience. And when she uncorked that, it was something to behold. So, yeah. Yeah, Kali, warrior goddess of destruction, tears through you. Oh, Alex, you just noticed what else is there? Exactly. I didn't mention it, but that's another one. So there's thumb in the eyes, the double ear pop, all of which are really quite devastating. There you go. Okay, one last one, Dave. And this is totally if you're out in a bar or you're out on a street, all those places, I mean, people always ask me, have I ever used my Aikido? And I go, not in the way you mean, which is for self-defense, because I don't go any place where males consume alcohol to excess. And everybody I know who's ever had to use their techniques for self-defense, it was where guys were drunk. So, okay. But for law enforcement guys, for guys in bars, the number one attack they contend with is the haymaker done from the fake. So you get the guys going, yeah, fuck you. And then you see this. When you see this, this is not him giving up and walking away. This is the setup for this. So there's 2 choices you have. You know, if you turn away and then throw the haymaker, I can move back and let it fly past me because this is inevitably not that. It's overcommitted. They're trying to knock you through the roof. And that's great, but now you have to engage them. Or you could just move inside. And right here I have, there's the hit, there's a hit, there's another hit, spiral and drop. I'm being nice. There's a whole machine gun because I'm taking the line. Okay, so we're here. He turns away and he throws. In, right here. In deep enough that his head is now behind his shoulders. There is the groin strike, which puts his butt out. Okay, and then the spiral and dump him. Just try that. This is totally applied self-defense. And it's nowhere near as difficult as what we started class with. This one's easy. Go ahead. The sucker punch. Well, think of it as a yokelman. Think of it as a yokelman. It's like with a fake. Boom. But this,
You know how to punch that bad.
the cops that I trained with said this is the #1 attack they contend with on the street. Is the guy who just, sometimes they do the fake, sometimes they just come out of it. But it's, these guys are, this is what I was saying before about, we started with linear attacks. Jerry can do a real good linear attack. Regular people have to be trained to do that. Okay, they almost always have, even if they think they're doing a straight punch. When I used to teach this stuff, this was a straight punch. Look at this space in here. It's not this. You have to train people to do that. So most of the time in any kind of applied type stuff, you're going to be on the inside. I started on the outside because it's more interesting. You know, somebody who actually knows something. But people are giving you this kind of space, it's easy. You just can't freak out about it. You have to, one, just know it's coming. Okay, if you get hit by an aggressive guy at this space, you made a mistake long before this. It's like I could have been going, no, look, I don't really don't want to do this, and make him come to me. And then he, or if I really know it's not going to be on, I'm stepping in. And especially if you can't see their hands. If this guy, a stranger, comes towards you in a bar and that hand is not visible, you either step back and get an object in between you, or you enter in and hit him and worry about whether or not there was something in that hand before. You can't. You never let somebody get into your space because that's how fast attack is. Okay, so anyway, a little bit of earthy self-defense. It's basically it. This is the number 5 entry. Number 5 entry, in terms of the entries that we do, is the most common one because everybody hooks. So, easy peasy. So guys, move over a little bit. And stand sideways. There you go. And in this case, I'm not really trying to push that away. I don't want to. I'm just riding it. If she pulls it,
Okay.
I'm just riding it. This is where I'm. Okay. It's even looser than what you were doing. There you go. Yeah, there's a heel kick to the head, which is nasty. There you go. There you go. Very nice. Okay, guys, everybody gets the point. This is not terribly sophisticated. The one that I like, actually, that's a little more sophisticated, is anytime they hook you, not only being here, but using the core turn of the strike to move him. It's not just the number 5 entry where this covers. and this hits. This is your simultaneous direct entry. So I get him shifted in here. When that happens, this shifts him and he falls into that strike. So to practice it without being too rough on your partner, you can practice this using your core to do that. That can be done off yokomen. I mean, this is yokomenuchi, boom. We're not going to practice that tonight. Okay.